today we're driving something a little bit different than the Speed 3, and it's a Fiat 500, but not a normal Fiat 500. Yes, this is the Fiat 500e. It's an electric car. Listen to that performance. When you first drive this car, you get a little bit of a sense of what kind of witchcraft is this thing working on. You don't feel the motor, you don't feel the transmission, nothing is shaking, nothing is really vibrating besides, just the interior panels as the car flexes a little bit as you're driving. So it's a little bit of a different sensation, and you don't know if the car is on or not. That's definitely a big one. Because I usually like to know if my car is running or not, but this one is a little different because you can't hear it unless you really listen and you hear a little bit of a whine going on from the motor. Now this car is definitely crazy with this whole LCD or LED, whatever it is, panel right here. There's no analog tack. It's all one giant screen, which is really cool. You can see the motor power, how many kilowatt hours it's exerting, plus as when you brake, this car has regenerative braking, and you can see how much power is actually generating back into the battery. It also has this crazy little bar over here which tells you what you're doing with your throttle, how much power you're using versus how much it's charging, and if you're driving economically or not. It also has little arrows right here to tell you if you're using more energy than normal or if you're using less, therefore increasing your miles. Now this car gets about 90 miles to a charge, which isn't great if you want to take it long distances, but around town it's absolutely perfect, especially if you have solar panels on your house like I do, so you charge it pretty much for free. Now this is a 2016 model, and as I was reading online beforehand, the previous models or years of this car had a lot of issues, but so far the 2016 hasn't had any breakdowns yet, which is fantastic. It always takes a couple years when a new car idea like this is released to get a handle on what's going on and how things will happen. And my screen is really dark. That's great. The weather is really overcast today, so as I notice as I'm driving, I can see in my little camera here that it gets really shady and you can't see anything, or I just look like a silhouette, like kind of like now, or driving in the sun like right here, and then you can see me again. I hate weather. I hate winter. I actually don't. But when you're filming, it's not good. The more I drive this car, the more I like it. It's a really comfortable ride out of a small little car. It has really, really small wheels with a fat tire on them to absorb that bounce a little bit better. And it handles pretty well. Oh yeah. Now this car weighs about 500 pounds more than a normal Fiat 500, but this car is also a lot faster. Have it being electric, the torque is immediate. When you put your foot down, there is no spool time from a boosted car. There's no waiting for the revs to pop up a little bit. The power is there. The power band is 100%, and there is no gears. So it just goes. There's no shift point. So, oh, look at my Ferrari. It shifts faster than you can blink. This car is faster than that because it doesn't have to shift. It's pretty awesome. Now let's test a little bit of acceleration right here to see how this goes. Alright, turn off everything here. We're gonna put our foot down. Oh, that torque! Oh! Wow! So explosive. Now the funny thing is about this car, its top speed is 88 miles an hour. But that's okay in this little mouse of a car. This car is mostly for just going around town. I'm not gonna make a trip to LA in this car or go to Disneyland because it would be a one-way trip. As soon as I got there, I'd have to charge it. And on this car, to charge it from a normal house outlet takes more than a day. So I have to plan for a little bit. Man, that torque is insane when you punch it. I honestly think that this car off the line leaves harder than a GTR. In the first 5 feet, this will pull ahead of a GTR. After that, GTR will go right on by it. But I'm talking about immediate, when you put your foot down, this feels much faster than GTR in that short amount of distance. Don't get me wrong, the GTR still has 5 times the power of this car, but this car is still over 1,000 pounds lighter than the GTR. So this car is only sold in Oregon and California. Nowhere else in the country is this being sold. So that's a pretty interesting thing. It makes it a little bit rarer of a car in the country. And on top of that, Fiat loses money on every single one of these that's made and sold. And because of that reason, there's actually a lot of dealerships that have decided to not sell this car because of that very reason. So that's a little fun fact. So we've been driving around a little bit. I have 93% battery life left, 84 miles left on the range, and this car is as smooth as can be. Now you gotta be a little careful also, because if you do turn on any climate control or the radio or anything, you definitely do notice that it takes miles off your range, and it will calculate that for you so you can plan ahead of time. So that's also a very useful feature. So as we're just cruising around my neck of the woods here, we can see all the people throwing up the Christmas lights. So this car, downsides of this car. A would be the space inside. I can barely fit here, but also I'm a 6'5" guy. So I don't fit into a lot of cars. Another downside of it is, with the space, is that I can't hold much if I were to take this car and go shopping. There's no way I can make trips to Best Buy and get a TV. Maybe a microwave. That's pretty much all that would fit in here. And definitely the last downside I would have to say is it's just the range. Unfortunately, you know, being able to make a one-way trip to Disneyland isn't too enticing. But like I said earlier in the video, this car is excellent for just doing errands, running to Target, going to get something from the local hobby store, something like that. This car is absolutely fantastic, and it's quiet, and even the sound system in it, even though they didn't put very many speakers and they didn't put a subwoofer in because it would take too much energy, still sounds great. So I'm gonna have a little bit more fun with this car before we run out of range and have to take it back and throw it on the charger. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget, together to the top. Let's go.